Today, it seems that the entire solar system has stopped breathing. Even the stars seem to have pressed the pause button. A rare, utterly fascinating, and frankly terrifying universe is playing out before our automated eyes. The world standard time is 4 a.m. on October 3rd, 2025. A star-like object, an interstellar comet named 3I Atlas, is flying directly over Mars. It didn't just drift in. It broke into our neighbor's front door from the chilling depths of outer space. The speed is astonishing, and the trajectory is crisp, hyperbola sharp. In its journey so far, this is the closest moment to any star or major planetary body. This is the only and utterly irreversible interruption we will get. Astronomers have been intensely busy for several months for this very purpose. They were operating on a razor's edge, afraid of missing any key data for a second, fully aware of the sheer rarity of a third confirmed interstellar object. They expected a textbook passage, maybe a minor dust outburst. But no one, absolutely no one, expected that it would be so strange next. Whether it's NASA, ESA, or their proprietary satellite hunters, everyone on the receiving end was utterly blindsided by the subsequent series of performances. When this ice and sand fusion body, this cosmic drifter, walked quietly across the position of Mars, about 29 million kilometers away, all the sophisticated orbiters in the Martian sky were almost unnervingly in sync with it. It was like an orchestra of machines all holding their breath. The audience was full of open camera shutters and humming sensors. Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, MRO, Mars Express, MAVEN, and the Trace Gas Orbiter, TGO, were all on the line, their systems running at peak capacity. Light source, imaging, particle counters, magnetic field sensors, every single device was lit up, waiting for the torrent of data to be collected. On the surface, stationary satellites and landers like InSight, via seismic and atmospheric pressure sensors, though its mission was primarily focused on internal geology, and the active Curiosity and Perseverance rovers were in charge of listening and sensing. Through air pressure, dust density, radiation counts, and magnetic fluctuations, they were poised to capture even the smallest, most abnormal fluctuations. This was, for the human scientific enterprise, an unprecedented, high-stakes, near-distance experience. It was supposed to be a chance to simply observe a distant star visitor. Instead, it became a moment to visit the stars in real time. The data was not a replay. It was almost hand-to-hand combat with the unknown. At first, everything was calm, steady, and entirely within the predicted parameters. It was moving like a standard quiet comet, exactly as described in a textbook. It exhibited a faint, diffuse green coma with a ring of thin dust and light clouds, and a long tail pointing obediently away from the sun. It looked like a regular, expected operation. Yes, it was normal. There was no surprise, and there was certainly no plot twist until the very next second, when the model was shattered. It was like someone suddenly turned the volume on the radio from 0 to 10. The brightness curve, initially a slow, manageable climb, erupted into a sharp vertical rise. It seemed a hidden switch had been thrown. The light curve rushed straight up, and the thermal radiation expanded rapidly. An explosion of energy that shouldn't have been possible at that distance. The radio spectrometers on board the orbiters immediately went into alert status. The ground control teams and the instruments in orbit were forced to rush to the top limit, frantically trying to prevent the sensor arrays from flaking out or saturating. The composition of the expelled vapor was not common. The main components were carbon dioxide and hydrogen peroxide. Yes, but the sheer volume and velocity were profoundly unusual. It immediately separated Atlas from any ordinary, natural cometary activity ever recorded. This sudden flaring was like a phenomenon seen only in the most abstract, theoretical spectrum models, a signal that only came out of the simulation in the past. To measure it for the first time in a real-world natural event was thrilling, but also deeply unsettling. In front of the mission control station screens, the event was no longer a piece of inert ice silently passing by. It was more like a visitor knocking on the door in a high-pitched, resonant tone. The momentum and the aggressive posture were completely out of the ordinary. If you find this level of deep space anomaly as compelling as the scientific community does, and you want to ensure you don't miss any critical updates on the nature of this object, whether it's natural or something else, you need to take action right now. Stop what you're doing for 1 second and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Hit the notification bell. This story is only getting stranger, and you need to be ready for the next phase. And then, the laser-like event began. You see, the Mars atmosphere is thin, and the magnetic field around the globe is patchy and localized. A focused, sharp emission of light, a true laser event, is not a common, natural occurrence near a planet. But this time it was lit. A few hours before and after the flyby, the MAVEN device, which specializes in atmospheric escape and solar wind interaction, captured an inexplicable surge of purple wave stability on the Martian night side. It was like someone lightly brushed a brilliant ultraviolet brush across the sky, and the brightness was far too much, far beyond the level of normal solar wind, or even a major solar flare interaction. It was not logically consistent with known physics. The data feedback correlated precisely to the time point when the comet was closest to the Martian equator. The cause and effect lines were almost perfectly symmetrical. It was like the tail of 3I Atlas had physically crossed the respiratory layer of Mars, drawing a definitive purple line in the sky. It forced this quiet, ancient planet to suddenly think for a moment. But the real paradigm-shifting change that made people sigh in stunned disbelief came only a few minutes later. Someone viewing the high-resolution images from the high-rise camera on MRO saw a crack form at the core edge. Bright spots began to fall one by one. The fragments started to peel off the mother body. The camera took a picture of them with the sun's backlight, creating a chilling silhouette. It was described not as a random ejection, but as a spiral descent and a slow, coordinated drift. It was not like a casual, chaotic fall typical of a crumbling comet. It was more like a rhythmic, almost deliberate spread. These fragments did not simply move along the usual predictable trajectory dictated by simple gravity and momentum. They twirled around each other, maintaining a distinct, tight formation. It was a combination of unprecedented organized patterns. Some observers quickly labeled it a spiral descent, while others, more cautious, called it a coordinated drift. But they could not hide their utter confusion. No one was willing to say the most sensitive word first, because that word implied there might be unnatural, intelligently directed forces behind the event. Simultaneously, the second atmospheric orbital blast came to light. A high-altitude, short-speed energy burst, the kind researchers chase for decades but still can't catch the full signature of, suddenly erupted in the Martian ionosphere. The signal was strong, and the continuous time was clear and sustained. Crucially, it was almost perfectly aligned with the exact moment the comet passed by. The coincidence was too glaring to ignore. The problem immediately became acute. Did 3I Atlas drop some kind of payload, triggering a chemical or energetic release? Or did its immense radiation and electromagnetic tail simply wake up some kind of dormant artifact or geological fake toy lying under the surface? No one could make a conclusive statement right away, but everyone saw the key evidence. The timing was almost provocative. It was just right. So precise, in fact, that people dared not treat it as mere noise. Then, the most sinister and utterly strange scene came. An intercepted low-frequency signal broke into the data stream. At first, the base-level noise pressed it down, but careful filtering revealed it. Every 22 seconds, there was a low hum, a consistent resonance. Like a heartbeat, like a breath being taken. The engineer's first logical reaction was interference, that the device was flatlining or experiencing a temporary failure. They ran diagnostics. But a few minutes later, the Mars Express recorded the exact same resolution and pulse pattern from a completely different orbital angle. Two independent circuits, two different devices, operating thousands of kilometers apart, but delivering a consistent, unified pulse at the same time. The probability of this being a natural, random occurrence was so small that it made people break out in goosebumps. In the mission diary for that hour, the scientists kept repeating the same observation. The signal was at a consistent resolution. Its intensity was still low, not carrying any discernible information code. It truly sounded more like an environmental pulse, but it didn't sound like random noise. The regularity was too obvious, forcing people to keep staring at it, to keep listening. The official public statement gave a cautious explanation: particle interaction. They hung a label of natural phenomenon on it first, attempting to stabilize the public narrative. The explanation suggested that the comet's electromagnetic tail had swept past Mars's remnant magnetic anomalies, triggering a natural resonance, a feature that can be seen but is extremely rare. It was an attempt to control the power of private speculation, but everyone understood. It wasn't that simple. A low-pressure, unsettling question could not be avoided. What if the source of the pulse was not natural? On the ground, civilian astronomy enthusiasts, those with the truly long exposure photographs and the freedom to speculate, also found more unusual things. Their photos showed that the comet's overall brightness was rising, not just at the tail, but the entire green coma was darker, deeper, as if someone had applied a vibrant filter. Before the Martian flyby, its multi-green color was attributed to dual-purpose carbon gases. But after the Martian encounter, the brightness had almost tripled. What did it seem to have eaten? It was now shining in a hotter, brighter, and significantly more contrasting way. The illusion of something greater than a comet rose like a tidal wave across all the public forums, the academic war groups, and the private email lists. Some guessed it had collected a batch of Martian organic molecules, creating a powerful chemical collision with the planet's thin atmosphere. Others stared fixedly at the spiral fragments, suggesting that this implied an abnormal internal magnetic field, something highly uncommon for a simple, rocky comet. The boldest group of thinkers, however, were even more persistent. They argued that the sense of collision, the consistent pulse, and the organized drift of the fragments felt more like a man-made fingerprint than a natural speck of cosmic dirt. They saw a test. They saw a beacon. For this, NASA and ESA repeatedly emphasized the need to stick to scientific evidence. Externally, the official stance was still restricted to abnormal chemistry and a sudden outgassing coupled with a phosphorus-like particle effect. The caution was palpable. Do not jump to conclusions. But in private investigations, the problem was much sharper, and the scope of discussion was far bolder. One question hit the nail on the head. What we are seeing, is it really a comet? Or is it something else with a comet's coat? Could it be an object deliberately dressed in dust and ice, rushing through our star system? For every single Martian probe, this encounter was almost silent, yet it left a clear physical mark on all its sensors. The sky camera on the rovers captured a faint light at the top of the head, and the intensity between the peaks and troughs of that light was unnervingly consistent. Later, the radiation spikes were also significant. The short-speed electric shocks were like the probes had been lightly knocked. Even the long-term seismometers on InSight, designed to listen to deep ground tremors, registered a strange, subtle string of abnormal electromagnetic noise in the background data. The timing was perfectly congruent with the flyby. It looked like every machine on Mars had a spray of static. It was as if they all felt the breath of the visitor at the exact same moment. Now, all eyes are focused on the next phase of the plot. 3I Atlas continues to rush inwards toward the Sun. It will arrive at its perihelion, its closest point to the Sun, on October 29th. That is where the real structural test lies. Since it was constantly flirting around Mars, will it perform even more ridiculously when confronted with the immense heat and gravity of our star? One possibility is the safe one. It will collapse, disintegrating and scattering its dust into the solar wind, forming a spectacular but short-lived firework display. It may also hold the structural test and remain mostly whole. If so, when December approaches the Earth's orbit, its green light will be even more vivid and clearly visible. Both directions make people's hearts beat faster. Excitement and worry coexist. Scientific discovery and potential risk come together in a terrifying cocktail. If it is the former, it will be safe and scientifically enriching. It leaves us a pile of precious data and a cloud of cosmic dust. If it is the latter, the larger fragments may stay intact. They could interact with the orbital plane of Mars. Even more worryingly, in the next few years, its orbital path could bring it into the vicinity of the Earth's orbital path. It needs to be monitored, closely and continuously. If you've reached this point in the video, you clearly appreciate the gravity and the complexity of what's happening. You are part of the conversation. I need to know your conclusion. Do you think the synchronized pulse and the organized fragments are simply a strange coincidence? Or do you believe this is a deliberate signature left by a non-natural source? Let me know your thoughts. The most intriguing comment will be pinned at the top. The truth is out there, but we need to discuss it. The most exhilarating and chilling assumption is that all this is not accidental but intentional. The consistent pulse, the collection of fragments, the timing of the energy burst. Each item can be explained away. But put together, it feels undeniably like a sense of design. If this is true, then 3i Atlas is not a mere passerby. It is a carrier of a task. More precisely, it is like a probe, a test, and a marker. And that night, the night of October 3rd, was more like a rehearsal before the main event. A test of the process and a measurement of the reaction. Imagine standing on Mars. The sky is streaked with a deep, unnatural green light. A light that should not exist is shaking on the horizon. The fragments, slowly twirling, are like a small satellite constellation put into orbit, and the thin air is humming with an invisible rhythmic pulse. Whether you are a machine on Mars or us, listening intently on Earth, it feels like we have been cut off from the noise of the cosmos, brought momentarily close to a secret written on the very edge of the starry sky. But it was fleeting. Now all the major telescopes are almost fully focused, listing 3i Atlas as their #1 target. Microsoft's Planetary Ventures is waiting for the solar conjunction to end. The Earth-based telescopes have taken the cleanest near-infrared spectroscopic fingerprints. The ground-based power arrays continue to boot up, capturing any non-standard radio power outflows and short-speed bursts. Civilian scientists have also contributed a massive amount of data points to determine its precise brightness curve and burst history. Since Oumuamua, the first confirmed interstellar visitor, we haven't seen such a large-scale, cross-institutional rapid mobilization. But this time is different. The nature of the object is different. Oumuamua was like a shadow, silent and rushed. By the time researchers set foot on its trail, it was already gone. While Borisov was like a typical, if distant, natural comet. But 3i Atlas's performance is utterly out of the ordinary. It picked a time when it shouldn't have been bright and increased its brightness to make the models stand out. The crumpled, organized dispersion is like a complex picture being drawn. It knocked a string of regular pulses against Mars. The frequency is steady, the repetitions are high. It passed by, did its assigned task, and then followed the script. It is emitting a deeper, more profound green in the dark space. The invisible waves, undetectable to the naked eye, also rose at the exact same time. So instead of saying it's an object, it's better to say it's like a book turning to a key, essential chapter. We've just read the prophecy, and the night is still growing longer. The next few weeks will determine whether this is a scientific miracle, a profound warning, or the beginning of a new chapter in interstellar physics. If it passes through today's point, the next one may open up near the Earth's orbit. There's a big chance for further observation, but the risk assessment has to be upgraded simultaneously. If it can't hold out, it will disintegrate at high temperature. But even then, the pieces of the sky will still inherit the alien chemistry, and the mystery will be disassembled into countless fragments, floating all over the place, still bearing the mark. No matter where it goes, one thing has been absolutely concluded. After last night, Mars has been marked. The sign was left on the physical level, and it was also left indelibly in the human record. The hard-to-appear aurora was brightly lit. The seismic sensors that should not explode looked up at that exact point. In the background that should have been silent, a rhythmic green pulse was recorded. So, looking back at October 3rd, 2025, people may not remember it as an ordinary comet flyby. What is more likely to be remembered is that night we understood that astronauts are not always silent. Sometimes they drift from the dark fringes of the planet, and the questions they leave behind are piled up, but the answers are scarce. Sometimes the universe is like a knock on the door, reminding us with its deliberate beats, "Are you there? Can you hear me?" If the true connotation of 3i Atlas is far beyond its simple appearance, then last night was definitely not the climax. It was more like an opening show, the curtain having just been pulled back. A magnificent debut across the starry sea. The first movement has been played, but the main melody is still to come. The only question left is, are we just clapping below the stage, or have we already been written into the plot? Because one thing is perfectly clear. Last night, Mars was not alone, and we have never been.